haven't yet mentioned in that group. He's from Total Energy. 6 riders in the group. 7 seconds is the gap. This time, about an hour ago, when we were on the way to the Knokteberg at the front of the race, Lars Pedersen was there. He's following in the group. Let's hear from him.
Tell us first, how are you having missing out on Wevel game due to sickness? How do you feel here?
Of course, it's a pity I miss out on that race. You know, it's one of the races I like the most, but sometimes it is what it is, and it was easier today to take the decision when I knew that we had a strong team there and a good chance for Johnny to win the race as well. So, yeah. But anyhow, like, being sick is never nice, and especially not in these classics. You know, we do everything we can to stay healthy for most of the spring, and then sickness hit me already before Friday. But we hoped it was enough. But I could feel Friday that I missed out a little bit.
And now you feel fully recovered? We can count you as a favorite for today?
I always tell you this: it's up to you to count the favorites, you know. But if I wasn't fully recovered, I also wouldn't be here. Then we will take a different approach for the race on Sunday. So, yes, I'm back on full force.
Johnny is there too today. So how you will play it out collectively?
This I'm not going to tell you now. This you can watch in the race.
You have to be careful how you spend the energy, what energy you have ahead of Flanders today. You have to consider that today for Flanders.
Oh, not really. Flanders is Sunday, and today is Witness Day. We should be able, we are professional athletes, we should be able to go full gas today and then again on Sunday.
The cycling equivalent, can you play Wednesday, Saturday every week? And Lars Pedersen certainly thinks so. By the way, that was Antoine Plouvin asking the questions. Just under 60 kilometres to go. On the way yet again now to the Knokteberg. And the second group, just whilst we were watching Pedersen there, has got off the front. You can see that Decathlon are involved. Looks like it could be Horler. Certainly is. Hard to mistake him, isn't it? Hageners is there, as is Seneschal. 2 riders from Pinot.
Question. Sorry, Rob. It's a good question. Re those other classics, and what do you ride? What do you miss? I don't think it is, and a lot of top riders don't think it is possible to ride everything on the calendar at this time of year here in Belgium. We saw Wout van Aert didn't ride the E3 press. Mathieu van der Poel. He's not here today. He's in Spain training and recovering first, and then a couple of training rides. You can't do them all because you start to just run your tank a little bit too low, and after each one, recovery gets a little bit harder and a little bit harder if you don't give yourself enough time. And you've just got to pick out one and go, okay, I'll miss one there to give myself a week of recovery rather than always just 3 days. Bettiol getting a little irritated.
I think the rider in question that he was having a go at was Wessel Maurits there from Unibet Rosa Rockets.
Also, Sutterlin, as he came across, he didn't do a turn. He sat on that big road before they turned off to the right. Didn't even look like trying to get out of last position of the group. So Bettiol, he's got more people to point out. He's got fingers almost because he does a fair bit of pointing.
Yes, plenty of gesticulation when he's involved.
Yeah, but still doing his turns, trying to keep things moving along. Sam Watson doing the same. Now Sutterlin does come through, the German from Joko Alula.
Max Walker from the Isle of Man.
Always want to call him Tangles.
Yes, there's a rather famous name where Australian sports fans are involved.
Yeah, the cricketer from the 1970s, Max Walker, affectionately known as Tangles for his bowling action.
I think that Max Walker looked a little bit better on the bike than he did throwing them down.
Yeah, it'd be an ironic nickname for Max Walker, the bike rider, if we called him Tangles, because he's smooth, stylish.
Mind you, let's see if we can get this Max Walker running in from the Paddington end and see what he looks like. Eh? He's out here trying to win a bike race first. Part of a group of 8 tiers, 10 seconds. Twisting, turning our way around Flanders. That's how we like it at this time of year. Florian Seneschal, he's had a the last couple of classic campaigns with illness and injury. And a name he could have forgiven us for sort of forgetting about in these races, sort of drifted away off the scene, suffered a little bit of sort of Cofidis-itis. When teams go there, doesn't quite go for them. But he's now back on a Belgian team, the Frenchman. And he's looking good, looking strong, and pulling his teammates at the front. Look who sat there fourth wheel, Jasper Philipsen.
Yeah, it's looking like now Alpecin starting to take control of the race with, just over, less than half of the climbs to come. We've done more than half of them to sort of start taking control, to get the group that's off the front more under control. But I think try and give the impression like we are going to lead you all to Waregem, where Jasper will sprint. But there are enough other spots to make attacks. And the Ekenberg, I think that's going to be the next really big one.
Approaching the Knokteberg again, much smaller groups, both in front and chasing this time. Dwars of Vlaanderen is going to play out between all the riders on the screen. And into a crucial section now. Knokteberg, Hootond, Ekenberg, Maria Borstraat. Couple more cobbled sectors. Up the Nokerenberg on a couple of occasions from different sides. And then the run back into Waregem.
But to be honest, the last difficult climb in this race is the Ekenberg. Other than that, they're short. There's only a few sections of cobble that aren't particularly bad. The Nokerenberg, with all due respect, is not one of the Flemish barracks. So I think the likes of Wout van Aert, Preston Hagenes, the best on those really tough climbs will do what they can on the Ekenberg to get away and see if they can get a good working group to hold off the likes of Jasper Philipsen and anybody working for him.
Steep section at the bottom of the Knokteberg, gets steeper again towards the top after a brief respite in the middle. And Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe have worked to bring that group back and are now moving on the attack. And it's Mick van Dijk this time. They're taking it in turns. I think we need to come up with a Yates Brothers type system here for the Van Dijk brothers, don't we? Socks, shades, something.
Sunglasses. Yeah, or just an M on the helmet or a T on the helmet would be pretty handy. It's Hagenes who's leading what's left of the peloton and the chase behind Van Dijk.
Florian Vermeer sitting on the wheel in the white jersey. Dan Horler just pops his head out around halfway down. Sutherland still up towards the front with Watson. They were in that group a moment ago.
It's not hard for Dan Horler to pop his head out in the peloton, standing around 2 metres tall.
Well, he doesn't need to wear a special set of socks or sunglasses. I think we can spot him from the space station.
His head was poking out above the peloton, but he was down an aero.
Little split there after around 10th wheel. The second steep section. This is the steepest bit, 13%. And then on towards Dan Lloyd corner. Now Van Aert moving up, that 8th place. And Hagenes is there. Filippo Ganna this time has made into that front split. Carlos Canal as well for Movistar. Pedersen's the last rider trying to get across here. And just about closing the gap there, Sam Watson.
Yeah, Asgreen, Morgado.
Biniam still in here alongside Paulet.
Narsen.
Matthew Brennan right at the back, by the way. But here's Van Aert at the front. And he's going to drill it again on the Hootond. Well, I tell you what, today, whether he wins or not, it's certainly a good workout he's getting, because Wout van Aert, so proactive, so strong. And again, just like he was at the weekend, almost always on the front of the bunch.
And I think in general, this course is not quite hard enough for him to do the damage he wants to do. He's got to use every opportunity. Whenever anyone else goes and winds thing up, there's little splits, just go to the front and keep everybody in the red for a bit. But you see what he's done? He's sort of wound it up, swung off, few deep breaths, dropped down the line, slide his way back in. And meanwhile, they're still attacking in the front. It's just keeping everybody towards their limits. And that's his best chance of then doing something on the Eikenberg. I think these are sort of set-up accelerations and set-up attacks for Wout van Aert that he can really unleash on the Eikenberg.
Up towards the Holdon. It's becoming the other way when we're at the weekend. It will be a Kruisberg. And then Holdon combination.
They could have been really cruel, just then gone straight across the road and dropped them down to Paterberg. And often for people at home that are watching these races, they're familiar with the climbs, Quaremont, Paterberg, but you're never far away from any of them. And it's just a turn here, a jink there, and you're onto a completely different climb that could be a race changer. They're spoilt for choice.
If you come out here with your bike, by the way, as we see the usual promotion for the Farmers Union at this race in particular, given that we're really back into West Flanders, which is a huge farming region.
Geef een goeie patat op is, well, a patat is a potato, but geef een goeie patat op means give it a nudge.
Yves Lampaert on his tractor. He's done it on a couple of occasions. Of course, it reminded his name on Strava, I think, is John Deere, isn't it? Yves Lampaert. Farmer. From West Flanders. Just the farmer's boy who ended up wearing the yellow jersey at the Tour de France. A two-time winner of Dwars de Vlaanderen. Here's an opportunity now for the riders to go on the move. Sheffield doesn't want to chase yet and be the only one to do that. Gianni Vermeers does. Right inside of your picture. And here is Mars Pedersen. The Horton from this side, 1.2 kilometers long, maximum at 5%, average at 3.1. Right on your screen now, 113 Sander de Pestel.
Matthew Brennan, just there in shot two towards the back of the group. The likes of Tobias Lund Andersen, Jonathan Milan signalled at around 2 minutes behind the front of the race.
And that will be race over for them.
Yeah, 2 minutes behind at this point, over the Hotond and back over the Maria Borrestraat, then to the Eikenberg, and what comes after that. Yeah, I'd say it's not going to be possible for them to be racing for the win this afternoon.
Nicholas Larsen of Denmark is with Romain Grégoire at the front. Larsen riding for the Unibet Rosa Rockets. First World Tour win for them last week, I should say. Just thanks to Dylan Groenewegen. Probably had the best week in their history, actually. 4 big wins in a week for them.
Yeah, 3 for Groenewegen. And the other one on French roads.
Clément Venturini. 8 years since he'd won a bike race on the road.
Wow.
Another Frenchman in this group in Thomas Gachignard. He's wearing the white jersey there. As they're over the Horton. That's the famous Sport Cafe and Windmill. And now back down the other side. Now on Sunday, they'll be climbing up here after they've already been up the Oude Kruisberg.
Oh, they get down to the next intersection. They'll turn left and on the main road between Ronse and Oudenaarde. That long, fast downhill, and not a great place to be off the front with 3 of you, with a peloton of what would it be, some 70-odd riders behind. If there's any sort of chase, and numerically, big advantage to the big group.
More moves going. 7 seconds. Can't keep him still, can you, Mas Pete?
I think Mas Pedersen is using this race more as preparation for Sunday to really try and get his level up to where it's required to be competitive, rather than thinking about this race in its own right.
It is the quest of his career now, isn't it? He's done more or less everything he wants to do in the sport, bar win a monument. And you'd imagine that with the profile of rider, when he turned up and he won the Worlds such a young age, you'd have put a very strong bet on him to take a monument. One reason or the other, the era in which he's riding, injuries, problems, he's not been able to do it. But he's been a mightily consistent rider. So we see Dries van Gestel here at the back with his hand up. Number 36 on his back.
Meunier still in this group, a little bit further forward, number 32, about 10th from the back.
Paulet's on the move, as is Auler. And Stan de Wolf. L'autre Intermarché decided enough's enough.
Oh, in the absence of Tobias Lund Andersen for Decathlon, Stan de Wolf again gets a chance to ride his own race. And he rode a brilliant race in Edri Press Hardelbeke a few days ago. He was kicking himself that he finished just off the podium in 4th. It became a game of bluff towards the end. And, of course, Mathieu van der Poel was going to be pretty good at that. A very subtle easing off in the pedals, and then they thought they had him, and then they didn't. And de Wolf just didn't quite get it right in the sprint. When your legs are in agony like that, it's hard to make the right decision and know what everyone else has got at their disposal. And you got to say the others were really good too. Hagen is second, Vermeers in third. Florian, that is.
Well, the not-related Gianni's looking good at the moment as well. Red Bull. Now then, a bit of relaxing here, as much as you can in any of these races.
Now a bit of a standoff. Morgado again on the right-hand side now by the looks of it.
Left as we look at it now. Portuguese is off. Duvel will try and chase. Duvel also has Biniam in this group as well. He's just rather like Philipsen, just been keeping quiet, just been following as much as he can. Crow involved. Draws too many teams out. Laporte thinks about it. It's the final Wednesday afternoon trial before the Ronde van Vlaanderen. This week coming on Easter Sunday, the Flemish Holy Week coming to its conclusion, where millions and millions will be watching on the side of the road and on the television. Oh, those watching now will see a bike change for Filippo Ganna. 20 seconds, by the way, for those chasing on. Ganna hoping to get back into the group at 20 seconds, which is what we're basically calling the peloton right now. At the front of the race, we've got Grégoire, Gachignat, Larsen. And this now is Barrenetxea.
Yeah, it looks like Ganna will get back. Ganna will get back pretty easily, I'd say. It was a pretty slick change from the team, and he'll have the benefit of that convoy of cars. What he will have against him is when he gets back, he'll be getting back on either right as they turn onto the Maria Borrestraat or have to continue to chase across it to make contact. If they sit up a little bit, he might get back early and be able to position himself well before they turn on.
Gianni Vermeers for the umpteenth time. Here's Paulet. Carlos Canals, the Movistar rider, following this time, right back of this group. And just continues to be whittled down. 30 seconds, by the way, for the three leaders. Nothing for everyone to get too worried about yet. Certainly given the caliber and quality in this chasing group. Next, they'll go up to the Maria Borrestraat. And then on to the Eckenberg.
And here it is, the Maria Borrestraat, straight onto the cobbles. They've had a revamp as well, the cobbles of the Maria Borrestraat. They're a lot different colour to what I remember them, because there's quite a lot of sand and grout and a lot of new stones, and considerably smoother than they used to be. Here's the return of Gunner, just as they're about to turn on to that cobbled section.
And the fight for position is ahead of him at the front. Again, not quite as fierce as you had imagined earlier in the race, given the fact it's much a small group now. Too much wind about either today. You see that flag hardly moving.
Well, the question is now, who's going to take up the chase behind these at 38 seconds, or are they cool and calm enough to just keep cruising and wait for the Eckenberg?
Lewis Askey.
Well, not. Oh, it's Askey.
This time it's Askey, it looks like. And that's certainly Vlaanderen. Winner of that stage from the breakaway in Tirreno Adriatico. Beautiful moment that was, after all the issues he's had.
Yeah, it's so good to see him back at this level. And that stage win in Tirreno was quite incredible, leaving Julien Alaphilippe behind on the final climb and holding off Del Toro.
Riley Sheehan's still in this group for NSN as well. They had a big day, didn't they, on Sunday, winning in front of their new boss, Andres Iniesta, the former Spanish International World Cup winner who was there in Barcelona. And it was a first big victory for Brady Gilmore, the Australian, and that sprint in Montjuic.
That was a super ride. A guy like Brady Gilmore, with his speed and the way he can cope with really hard races, like that final stage in Catalonia, surely he's got to be a guy for races like this. I was surprised to see him in Catalonia. I picked him much more as a classic style guy for this sort of work as they turn off the cobbles of the Maria Borrestraat. Gianni Vermeers, Nils Pollitt.
Weekend aimed at Ineos for riding for Sam Watson. Thought it may have been a little unfair, given I thought that Ghana did a strong job for him. You never know after 240 Ks. You know, he put in a fantastic effort.
He did do a great effort. I mean, I thought it was justified to try it, because I think their main hope for the race was Ben Turner, and he had that really nasty crash out where it looks, I don't know, still, I haven't been able to find out how it actually happened and how he managed to get himself in such a tangle. But it was a really nasty crash. And I think that's what then turned it for the team to say, okay, we're going to ride for Sam. And he did his best with it.
He's obviously in form. And the confidence boost you will get with Filippo Ganna trying to set you up and leave you out will be incredible. But it's Hagenes here. That was Dylan Fabala just off the back, the rider we saw in the blue of Soudal Quickstep a moment ago. 2021 winner in this race. Big long-range attack that day. That's when he was still at the Ineos Grenadiers. This is Etikova. It's not quite swimming pool weather yet.
There we go. A couple more twists and turns, and then we're on to the Eckenberg.
And they're happy about it. The locals, that is. Not necessarily the riders who have to take it on. The riders at the front. Grégoire and Gachignal, the two Frenchmen. Larsen is the Dane. And this is the group of riders who are hoping to catch them. 25 seconds, 41 kilometres still to go in Dwars of Vlaanderen. And it's Filippo Ganna, Carlos Canal, Pestre and Hagenes leading at the front. Laporte follows. Papin Breinderink in this front group now.
Little shake of the head from Bertrand Hagenes when gestured to go through and do a turn. He said, no, not now. There's the left-hander for the front group, and that's the lower slope on the beginning of the Ekenberg. Not cobbles immediately. Little right-hander and then left. That's where the cobbles start, right here.
Onto a Flemish protected monument. They tried to take the cobbles off this in certain sections a few years ago, and it provoked anger from even the residents. Taking away the tarmac.
For many, many years, there was tarmac right and left and lack of barriers. You could sort of get off the cobbles, build a little bit of momentum, pedal a little bit smoother before you had to swing back on. Now they've got rid of all that tarmac. They've put barriers wherever they can to block off the easiest part of it. If there was an easy part, it is really tough cobbles all the way up. Not as rough as it used to be, but you've got to stay on the cobbles all the way. So that's made it significantly harder.
Hard and shoulder at the front now for UNOX. Former winner of the Omloop Newsblad 18 months ago.
This is where it's expecting
issues
some
again
big
for
moves.
Ganna, front wheel.
And I thought I saw a flash of yellow moving up on the left-hand side of the peloton at the front. And there's Wout van Aert.
Wout van Aert, Gianni Vermeers, and the rest must chase. Wout van Aert riding away on the Ekenberg with 40 kilometres remaining in Dwars door Vlaanderen. And look at those gaps open up. It's his teammate Brennan who's out the back. Ganna just ahead, struggling with that mechanical. But Wout van Aert here, going for broke, going for home, and nobody can live with him.
Well, shades of what we saw on Sunday in Flanders Fields the last time over the Kemmelberg. It was Wout van Aert struggling to stay in contact with Mathieu van der Poel. And Van Aert showing why the Belgian press has given him the 5-star rating as the big favourite for today. Up there on his own above everybody else. Up and over riders who are in break, and with 40k to go, this is what the Belgian public wanted to see.
The difference there was incredible. There is nobody in his league on this climb. Ganna has a broken handlebar, it seems. You just see. But at the front, there's nothing broken with Wout van Aert. For a while, there were injuries, illness, problems aplenty. But now Van Aert is looking himself again. And this is great news as we all build up to Sunday. Gachignard, he was dropped from the front and has been reached. Van Aert is about to get to Gregoire and Larsen. And let's be interested in what sort of collaboration we get or we don't here at the top. It's the top of the Ekenberg. And we are left looking a long, long way back to the next set of riders.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing that Van Aert has broken, contact with the peloton. That is a big gap that he's opened up to the rest, but he's really going to need the riders that he catches, Larsen and Gregoire, to cooperate with him. Got a nice tailwind off the top of the climb here, but they're straight onto more cobbles coming up. After the Ekenberg, it's the cobbles of Doren, then the Heusepontweg, and then it's a long stretch through. Yeah, to be fair to the team, I mean, they were able to get him on a spare bike and push him off and underway. They haven't even had time to do anything with the other bike. And they just would have been hoping that that's going to be enough. But there was just no time, nowhere for them to repair the other ones. So he's lost a lot of time there.
And it's time the peloton must get back on. 38 Ks to go. Bike change behind for Ganna. And this is Sheffield up the front, second wheel. Mohoric is there with him. And now here's Wout van Aert. 70k an hour down here. On the wheel of Romain Grégoire in the blue. And Nicolas Larsen left-hand side, who's wearing the pink. A little moment of recovery for Van Aert.
Yeah, this is the Edelade. They've just come down. In some races used as one of the climbs. Right-hand turn and into the centre of Oudenaarde.
Oudenaarde getting ready for its big, the Ronde van Vlaanderen on Sunday.
Look up here. They'll take a turn over the bridge above the scalp. And then dip down almost right next to the Centrum Ronde van Vlaanderen. In fact, they may even take them right past the front door and through the centre.
Sheffield's deciding to go it alone to try and get across here. "14 seconds is the gap. And now Van Aert moves through, and he will contribute after that brief route. Across the Schelde they come. And it is across here, as Robbie was just saying, right at the other end of this bridge, where the Centrum Ronde van Vlaanderen lies. The Tour of Flanders Centre. And there's Sheffield. Not really getting too far out ahead of those chasing in the peloton. Hotel just above you will be absolutely packed by the weekend. And here is that passage next to the Tour of Flanders Centre. A right turn at this roundabout. And into Oudenaarde. "20 seconds. And Oudenaarde looking a picture. Beautiful, beautiful town hall. Into the belfry there.
Unbelievable sight at night when it's all lit up. It's a beautiful town centre.
You get off the train station in Oudenaarde on the edge of town. It seems a pretty unremarkable town, doesn't it? But then you walk in, you see the River Schelde, you see that and some of the other old architecture. And it's a little gem, really.
Plenty of Belgian liquid reward. 700 different types, in fact.
That many types, I can't remember. That wasn't just from trying them one night. We're in Oudenaarde, a few days early. This is the centre of the Tour of Flanders. This is where the next monument winners will be decided at the weekends at Dwars of Vlaanderen here. We're into the final 35 kilometres now. A reminder that the women's race follows us a little later on TNT Sports and HBO Max. Wout van Aert, Romain Grégoire, Nicolas Larsen. 21 seconds. Magnus Sheffield was the first chaser. He's now got a little bit of help from Tim van Dijken. And then a matter of seconds behind, Søren Kragh leading the next group try to come across. It's breaking up. We've got the Nulkerberg on a couple of occasions. A couple of cobbled sectors as well. And Filippo Ganna can consider himself very unlucky today. Had a couple of mechanicals at very poor moments, despite looked the strongest. It was a thing of beauty, McEwen.
Yeah, it really was. He smashed his way off the front. Gianni Vermeers was the man who sort of resisted the longest to stay in the wheel. And then he had to, well, just accept his fate that he was about to get dropped by the five-star favourite in this race. But what's against Wout van Aert now is... with Ineos Grenadiers when they catch Magnus Sheffield. If they catch Magnus Sheffield.
Nobody wanting to fully commit yet. Philipsen is still in there. Binyam's in there as well. Coming to the front now is Pepin Brendering, left-hand side. Askey on his wheel. Watson's there as well. Decent numbers for Decathlon too, but of course their sprinter Tobias Lund is no longer in the race, no longer a factor.
I was just looking at the same thing. A lot of riders from Decathlon, but without their sprinter. So who's it going to fall on? Who's going to be their pick to ride for in an eventual sprint finish?
32 k's to go to Waregem. Tim van Dijk here really has stepped up, hasn't he, since opening weekend? Second place in the Omloop at Nieuwsblad, his best classics result.
I think it would be a really good thing for the group of Wout van Aert if these two, Sheffield and Van Dijk, could get across to make it 5 strong. Then they've got the numbers to resist the chase being led at the moment by Soudal Quickstep. Got Sam Watson there up in second wheel on the radio. And he knows that all he needs to do is sit in the wheel and try and be an anchor on this chase. We've also got Uno X with multiple riders in this chase group. And fast finishes.
Søren Varnashol being one of the fastest in this group, and he's already proved it in the Omloop 18 months ago that at the end of a hard day in the cobbles, he can do it in Flanders. A little word between Tim van Dijk and Magnus Sheffield. 19 seconds to the front of the race, but the gap between the front of the race and what's left of the group, the peloton, is growing. It's over half a minute now.
They're just a couple of kilometres now from the next section of cobbles in Doorn. Brings them through towards Kruisautum and onto the edge of that circuit. They'll ride twice around the Noord-Rabatic before swinging away and heading back into Waregem.
Romain Grégoire's a big talent, isn't he, from France? He's never won a race in Belgium. New territory for him, this being at the front in one of these races. Nicholas Larsen from the track. Only road victory in his career came at the Tour of Denmark. Well, good 51 wins now for Wout van Aert, but no cobbled race win in Belgium for over 2 years. Kuurne, Brussels, Kuurne the last time. The last time he won a race in and around the Flemish Holy Week was the Erdrie Press 3 years ago now.
2023 off the front with Christophe Laporte. An absolute demolition of the field on that occasion. This is the cobbles of Doorn. And as you can see, there's a nice little dirt/asphalt stroke. Starting to speak Flinglish now.
I was going to say, I was waiting for what came after the stroke, but then realised you were talking about the cassette.
I just stopped myself. I anglicised stroke. Little section, and it is gravel. It's a lot smoother than what's on their left-hand side.
Nicholas Larsen, just a wheel or two behind there. 40 seconds back to the peloton, by the way, now.
These two, they're still just hanging at the same gap, 16, 17 seconds. It's not getting any smaller. Meanwhile, behind, this is full commitment by Soudal Quickstep for Paul Magnier.
He's been a big classics talent. And Soudal Quickstep, well, they used to be the kings of these races. It's been a while since they drifted away from that. We thought this year might be the year where they went back to doing things at home, but they are not won in Belgium yet this year. Now then, we thought Larsen was just starting to struggle there. It's not great news for Wout van Aert, that.
No, it's not. I mean, if it was closer to the finish, you go, okay, no problem. But we're still 29 kilometres to go, and they've almost completely lost Larsen. So it's going to be Gregoire and Wout van Aert. And as I said before, it wouldn't be a bad thing for them if that chase duo of Magnus Sheffield, well, led by Magnus Sheffield, if they get across. But that gap is also opening 20 seconds. Wout van Aert's really turning the screws. It's like an all or nothing. It's like, I'm going to go as hard as I need to go. Those who can't follow, gone. I'm not waiting for anybody, and I dare the peloton to catch me. He's back.
Larsen's back, yeah. Maybe Van Aert as well, realising that he was dropping Larsen there towards the end of the sector. They could do with each other.
That's where you are better, sacrificing a second or two, keeping a guy on board, let him recover a little bit and get a few more turns out of him.
Magnus Sheffield, Tim van Dijk at 20 seconds. Peloton, or what's left of it, led by Soudal Quickstep at 43. It's growing in favour of those at the front. 28 kilometres remaining, and it's almost straight on to another cobbled sector in a few moments' time.
Yeah, Van Dijk and Sheffield, they're stuck exactly in the middle between the group Van Aert and the peloton here, led by Soudal Quickstep. Nobody else coming up to do anything just yet. No Alpecin Premier Tech, which is somewhat surprising.
Wout van Aert, Romain Grégoire, Nicolas Larsen on their way to the Herzepontweg. Next cobbled sector in this 80th edition of Dwars door Vlaanderen. Wout van Aert's performance today so far is the headline. Can you imagine, Robbie McEwen, the style at which he rode away there? He wins this race. Flemish press will be fun in the next few days. Certainly when you add into the mix what we're perhaps waiting to see what happens this afternoon with the, was it an April Fool or not, with Remco Evenepoel to the Ronde or not. It's going to be a busy time writing column inches in the sports papers.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of headlines being written right now, and they've got to decide which ones to throw away and which ones they're going to be able to use. And even if Wout van Aert can ride away and win this race, yes, it's great, and I'd love to see it. But in terms of favouritism for the Ronde van Vlaanderen, I'm still seeing two other riders who aren't in this race today being head and shoulders above everybody else, including Wout van Aert. And that's, of course, Mathieu van der Poel and Tadej Pogacar.
Both getting sunnier miles in. Now, Biniam moving up fourth wheel. Two teammates with him, Aski and Louvel. This is Larsen. And now Grégoire just sitting at the back here. They're on the Herzepontweg. Similar situation in that there's that little gravel mud section for some of it. Van Aert using his cross skills on and off them. Knows the lines, will know these roads. He's got to try and G up those with him to carry on riding with him. If he's to win the race, he needs them as allies for now.
Well, we saw this sector used in Nokere just the other week. It was won by Jasper Philipsen, only when they caught Alex Segaard in the last 100 metres. So this is a well-worn sector of cobbles in the races that take place around here. 25 seconds now for these two. So they're falling further behind the Van Aert group.
One of the beautiful castles in and around here, the Kjellinke Delsichem Castle.
What we often find here with these castles, these chateaux, is that they've been named now after the families who own them, rather than their traditional name, which might not have been Kasteel Doorn or Kasteel Herzepont. They're now naming it after the families who own them. Apparently the locals just use the old original name, kind of like we like to say Omloop het Volk and Gent Wevelgem.
The Schietsjan Pertermolen. I'll yearly look at it. Dressed up today as well. Got a hanging bike at the top. How do they get out of there? They had to actually do a few revolutions. Fix it on the bottom, move it up.
Well, the other week in Nokere Koers, they had it spinning. Not, but the bike wasn't on it.
Goodness for that. Busy day for the Flemish Health and Safety Department.
Gap growing out to 46 seconds now. Group Van Aert. Larson doing what he can. So he's been able to just recover that little bit, keep himself in the group, still contributing, knowing this is a massive opportunity to get a big result in one of the Flemish Classics.
On the way to Norkeren now. Hersepontweg is done. 25 seconds. These two getting further away, it seems, from the front of the race and closer to the chasers. Sheffield's in the orange and white. And in the white and blue, you're looking at Tim van Dijk, the American and the Dutchman. At the front, we've got a Belgian, a Frenchman, and a Dane. By the way, this is the longest period without a Belgian win in Dwars door Vlaanderen. 2018, Yves Lampart's second victory in as many years. It's meant that there have been 6 editions in a row, the longest winless streak for Belgians in the race's history. We've had Dutch wins. We've had all sorts going on. No Belgian victory, though, since quite a while. Now then, this is Florian Vermeers, and he's got out of the main bunch, showing his form, and he's on his way now to Sheffield and Tim van Dijk. Could be an interesting development.
Yeah, strong effort by Vermeers, gone away on the Hersepontweg, on the cobbles there. Now just getting himself up to the wheels, and this is the sort of impetus this group really needs. They're not too far behind the chasing group. I'll be surprised if it's actually 17 seconds to them. We'll see them swing around that corner in just a moment. Well, it's actually a group of 3. One of the Jaco Alula riders there in between as well. Dries de Bont, I would imagine.
Oliver Naastens there. And that's Axel.
And another rider from Groupama. Yeah.
Mohoric again, I think. And there's marking to be done by Pers van Hagenes. Brent van Muur, the rider from Pinarello.
Well, Hagenes doing a great job just marking moves. Well, not able to go, maybe not in a position or not able to go with Florian Vermeers, but trying to shut the rest down, take the momentum out of the group. As well,
riding up to the north
he's doing massive, massive turns.
Oh, they're falling out already.
Well, I think that was, I don't know if that was a signal to Sheffield or to the group behind, but yeah, maybe Sheffield wanted to let Vermeers back in again. So, well, I just got here. Let me recover for a moment. Left him hanging a little bit and just took away a bit of the cohesion of the group.
Gap to this group has gone down to 31 seconds.
Norkeren approaching. This is the road slinging its way down the traditional Norkeren Koerse finish. They don't do this one anymore, but it's a nice little cobbled hill.
500 metres from bottom to top, 5.7% average. Cobbles here through the village centre, 6.7% maximum.
Oh, Gregoire, he took that turn that you really don't want to do. Yeah, on the front, building momentum for the others as they swing on, and then Van Aert up the concrete gutter, and this is costly for Gregoire.
Wout van Aert riding away. Larson can hang on, but Romain Gregoire struggling over the top of the Norkerenberg. 17 seconds to this group, and the race could change over the top again here.
Well, it looks like Gregoire is likely to get picked up by these 3 rather than get himself back onto Wout van Aert and Larson. And Larson's done an incredible job to hang on up there, but he did it perfectly, position-wise, in the wheel of Van Aert, ride the acceleration, get dragged onto this climb with speed.
Attacks again up the Norkerenberg. Davide Toniati is up there.
Tito Del Grosso there in 5th wheel. Yeah, I'm quite surprised that Alpes and Premier Tech haven't done something yet But we are still 21k to go. There's enough road in front of them to the finish line to set this straight yet.
This is Wout van Aert in beast mode, though. Whatever happens with the result, strength is there, the power is there, the quality of the efforts almost as important as trying to wait for the win here. Wout van Aert, of course, has bigger ambitions. He wants to win the Tour of Flanders before he retires.
Well, that flick of the elbow from Van Aert went unanswered. Larsen just looked at him and said, listen, I just can't at the moment. And Van Aert went that hard over the Nokkerenberg that Larsen was turning himself inside out just to stay there. Look at the gap that's opened up to Gregoire. There he is, bottom of screen. So he looks more likely to get caught by the chase behind. They've also lost time over the Nokkerenberg to Wout van Aert.
"20 kilometres to go." It's been a brilliant Dwars of Vlaanderen so far for Visma bike. Those yellow jerseys have been buzzing around everywhere, active at the front, attacking with several riders. It's been pretty relentless, powerful stuff with Wout van Aert turning back the clock to a couple of years ago when he was dominating at this part of the season. We're building up to the Tour of Flanders on Sunday. The race he would like to win in his career.
Well, this is starting to have shades of the Edripress Hardelbeek, and we saw Mathieu van der Poel go long range, completely solo, and then almost caught inside of the line before just opening up that gap again. Wout van Aert finds himself in a similar sort of situation. 19k to go, around 30 seconds to the chasing, call it a peloton in inverted commas. With a few sprinters there who have teammates, it's going to come down to the wire, I reckon.
26 seconds of this group, which is about to become Group 2 because it will catch Romain Grégoire, who has dropped on the Nokkerenberg. We're now through into the first of two passages of the Herligemstraat. Nokkerenberg from the other side, the main road side, if you like, going up on the hill without the cobbles. That is next up. That will be the 12th and final helling or hill in this Flemish Wednesday afternoon semi-classic. And now Alpecin Premier Tech at the front, but so is Mads Pedersen. He's attacking here. He's being followed by Filippo Ganna.
But this is the sort of acceleration that Wout van Aert really doesn't need to happen. Okay, if it's the sprinters domestiques trying to chase him down, he might be able to fend that off. Or when the big guns like Mads Pedersen, Filippo Ganna start getting involved, that's going to make things really difficult for these two to stay away.
Next time they turn off the Herligemstraat, there'll be just over 5 kilometres to race. And now, though, there's 18 still on the clock. Another loop back to Nokere to come. Next group on the road is now 4 strong. The team pursuit squad, if you like. Sheffield, Vermeers, Van Dijken and Grégoire. The latter in the blue jersey at the back here. 26 seconds. And then 40 seconds for the Filippo Ganna-led group behind.
And that is Ganna, by the looks of things, going off the front. Railed it through that corner. Pedersen, I thought, still in second wheel. And look at the acceleration up and over the freeway bridge by Filippo Ganna.
Wout van Aert is 31 now. A couple of lost years in the classics because of those injuries. Right back at it. Ganna right inside there, bringing a rider from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe with him. Can't really see, because of the style, you'd suggest it could be Vermeers, Gianni Vermeers. This group at 25 seconds still. shake of the head there from Vermeers. Ganna's going to have to do himself. It's Lawrence Pithy in the end. It's Lawrence Pithy, the other shorter figure for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. He's kept himself nice and hidden and quiet all day.
He only looks like a shorter figure compared to Man Mountain Philippe or Ganna, but Pithy stands about 186.
Here's Pepin Brendering, pulling Falgren and Krau with him. Still lots of firepower behind. And with the gap so small, anything can happen in this race. Pithy being brought across by Ganna. Ganna's teammate, Sheffield, in here. Tim van Dijk's own teammate, the Kiwi fast man Pithy's there. And having got together here, it might not be too long before more riders get involved. And this could be a stronger chase group, but they need to get some organisation quickly. Otherwise, Van Aert and Larsen could gain again. Krau's coming across. There's an anchor in a Visma Lease bike jersey there too.
And is that Christophe Laporte or Hagenes? I thought it looks a bit like the style of Christophe Laporte has come across, and coming across now in dribs and drabs. But the sprinters teams who are still in this peloton really not getting themselves organised.
Larsen still riding. Of course, he'll take great heart in what happened last year when Wout van Aert was at the front of the race, which it's a different arithmetic this time. There were 3 Visma Lease bikes. None of them won the race. 1 out of 4 riders.
An absolute shock. I got to say, I'm really impressed with Larsen here in the front, the rider from the Unibet Rules the Rockets. A man who, well, on his palmarès, he's won the Tour of Denmark overall, beating none other than Jonas Vingegaard into second place on GC when he did that in 2019. As you said, an accomplished track rider. And I just admire his fight and will to come back. He was dropped, got himself back in, and then he hasn't shirked the turn. He's maybe asked for just a few seconds to catch his breath and recover, but he's done everything he can to help Wout van Aert. But the gap now just down to 21 seconds and no shortage of men to help the chase.
Nicolas Larsen is a 3-time world champion on the track. He's just gone past the Rainbow Stadium. Now onto the Kaverbeek Hippodrome, the race course. But at the minute, no sign of a bunch gallop. That would have to close. 23 seconds, though, means it's still a possibility. Just down the road on the roundabout. And I'm making it sound very scenic, but that's the reality. It isn't the prettiest finish in the road. A little dual carriageway around a roundabout on the edge of town, but you're very close to this centre of Belgian racing and, of course, the centre itself of local football too. See Waregem play there, which are the big local football team. Of course, in cycling terms, yes, there's so much history here. The World Championships held in Waregem previously, hence the name, the Rainbow Stadium. 21 seconds, though, it's coming down.
They got a lovely golf course just over the other side of the main road. But as you said, the finish straight is not their most scenic point in Waregem, the Verbindingsweg, the connection road between the outer ring and the inner ring, and that's it.
Now Willem van Baarle saw him right off the back of the bunch earlier in the race. He's a former winner here, 2021, 5 years ago. As his former teammate Sheffield sits on his wheel.
And still no Alpecin Premier Tech. Haven't seen them anywhere near the front of this group. I've seen them, 3 of them at least, sitting in the group.
Is this a gamble, or does it tell you that Jasper Philipsen's maybe not on his best day after the exertions of the weekend?
Well, I think they've won so much, they're prepared just to gamble. They're prepared to leave it up to others. And as soon as Soudal Quickstep started riding in a block, I think Alpecin decided, you know what, we'll let them just do it. Let's just stick here in the wheels and wait till it's absolutely urgent. 22 seconds, 13K to go. Still no reason to panic. Yes, it's Wout van Aert off the front with Larsen, but there's still plenty of road to bring them back with a gap like that. So I think they're just keeping the powder dry and with that confidence, peace of mind of what they've already won in the last few weeks.
They're often the team that does most of the riding as well. Civadillier, San Remo, straight away comes at you, doesn't it? And so many races they do just start riding early on. It's playing a long game as well, isn't there? And making sure that not everybody in every race is looking at them.
There is that too.
Over 48 kilometers per hour for 174 kilometers. Wout van Aert's at the front of the race. This race in question is Dwars of Vlaanderen. It's a Wednesday before the Tour of Flanders, and he has company. Track star Nicolas Larsen, now based riding for Unibet Rosa Rockets. They're at their first full Flemish spring, and they're here mixing it with one of the Flemish superstars. Just 200 metres, it says on the road. I'm not sure I'm buying that, though. It's a little bit further than that. It's certainly 20 seconds, however.
Yeah, 20 seconds. It was 40 seconds 12 kilometres ago. They've halved the gap in 12K. And now things are getting a lot more serious in the peloton. There's a lot more structure to what's happening with this chase as well. There was a lot of one-out accelerations, and this group sort of splitting apart and reforming. Now it's looking a lot more streamlined and intent on bringing these two back.
10 kilometres remaining. 22 seconds is the gap. Chance to do a little bit of final fueling for Wout van Aert. He's got to get up and down the Nokerberg again, this time from the main road side.
That's it, 11K to go. Tip it all in, everything you got there. No use finishing the race with full pockets and any energy left in your muscles.
Dylan van Baarle has plenty of that energy. He's riding at the front. Sam Watson sits on the wheel. Is Melissa Bakker thinking about spoiling tactics if they can? And then if it does come back together, they'll be thinking about Christophe Laporte. He just sits there in third wheel, just tries to get as close to the chase as possible without actually doing any chasing. Just getting in the way as much as he can without it becoming too much.
So Watson now chasing. We've seen Gunner chasing. Who else is in the group for them that they would be chasing for, that they'll rate their chances in a sprint? I'm a little bit at a loss at the moment, not able to spot anyone who immediately says, this is your man.
Well, the only other Ineos Grenadier here is Sheffield at the back, and he's just been off the front for a long time.
Yeah, he's not the man for a sprint. So maybe Gunner's now starting to take a back seat. There's Philipsen. So look how far back in this group he's sitting, almost trying to just stay off the radar of everybody else, not be seen by anybody.
16 seconds. 16 seconds, Robbie. And on the way here to the Nokerberg, it's this big drag up the hill. It's a nasty straight side, this. And if you're out there, they can now see you. This is not an enjoyable place to hit the front of the bike race with Soudal Quickstep, particularly Dylan van Baarle chasing you.
Well, this was the finish of Nokerkoerse, where they caught Alex Segaert within the last 100 metres. Van Aert now drops Lars and goes alone.
Wout van Aert with his second big acceleration on a hill. Last time it was the Eckenberg and he rode away. Now he's trying to do the same, but there's a whole bunch chasing him behind. Nicolas Larsen is dropped, and you'd suggest that barring any sort of miraculous change here, that's going to be his podium chances really ruined. Behind you can see NSM were trying to move and bring things back. Remember, Binyam's still in the group for them. On the right, though, we've got attacks, we've got moves. And if there are attacks and moves, they will benefit more Wout van Aert than the chasers behind.
Groupama FDG is the team on the move back
it's
there.
Madouas. It's Madouas. EF, you can see on the right-hand side that Van Baarle has been caught and passed, and it's now 20 seconds and growing again for Van Aert. As Madouas tries to get a front now, you can see too that Vlaanderen wants to come across as well. Jonas Abrahamsen, who almost won this race a couple of years ago when Matteo Jorgensen took victory. He's there as well. Søren Kragh on the left-hand side starts to appear. And
now at the top
again.
of the climb. So now at the top, if there's hesitation now, they see that they haven't really split things up, but they've done so much damage to those who were chasing. If there's hesitation now, it's exactly what Wout van Aert needs. He needs them all to sort of look around, go, okay, haven't broken the elastic, we're not away, sit up, recalculate, recalibrate, and maybe Van Aert can take a few seconds back.
Last time Wout van Aert was solo at the end of a race, it was the end of the Tour de France.
I thought I saw an Alpecin Premier Tech rider towards the front, keeping the pressure on out of that left-hand corner.
Van Aert using every single centimetre of this road. He's about to head on to the final cobbled sector of the race. It's going to be the Hedlighumstraat for one last time. 8 Ks to go. And heading to that in just around 1.5 kilometres time.
Like so many people, not only across Belgium, but across the world, willing Van Aert to hang on and not get caught. 13 seconds with 8K to go. It's been coming down so very slowly, but now more big accelerations. Abrahamsen with a monster turn on the front.
It's Abrahamsen and it's Vlaanderen. Vlaanderen, another former winner of the Omloop het Nieuwsblad. Dwars, remember, has been on the podium in the Tour of Flanders. Inederkent is a real turn up for the books in the last few weeks. He looked good for Pinarello, Q36.5. Dries de Bont is in and around as well. He's in the purple jersey and seeing an opportunity to try and get out and do something special. And he's gone.
Well, you can see him lining up, trying to get through. I think he actually gave a yell to Madouas and said, you know, up, because I'm coming through on your left-hand side. Move yourself to the right.
18 seconds for Wout van Aert. And one more cobbled sector remaining. Another attack. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe this time. And if that's possible, it tells you that the pace isn't consistent behind.
No, it's sort of real stop-start in the what's left of the peloton now. Through that left-hander. The rider from Red Bull almost onto the wheel of Dries de Bont. Not covered from behind. Next acceleration comes out of the peloton again.
It's Dries de Bont and I think Gianni Vermeers.
Former teammates at Alpecin Premier Tech. Well, the Alpecin of a different sponsor before that, but all the same.
This is hurting for Wout van Aert, but it will all be worth it if he can add this race to his collection.
Here
Final
are the cobbles
sector.
last time.
The Hedlighumstraat, all 800 metres of them.
Well, this
One
is where
big
the
effort
big, this is where the big moves are going to come out of the peloton. Mats Pedersen, Philippe Ogana. There's an orange rider at the front. I'm expecting Philippe Ogana at stop to put in a really big acceleration. Followed, and it is Gunner, followed Perstrand Hagenes.
Ganna, Hagenes, and Pithy in the chase. Van Dijk's not too far behind as well. Pedersen shows himself. That's de Bont who's caught now, and it's Philippe Ogana at the front.
A good covering by Hagenes here, the teammate of Wout van Aert in second wheel. But Gunner, at what point might he look around and say, well, that's it. I haven't shrugged everybody off. And if I'm just going to tow everybody, then I don't want to ruin Wout van Aert's day.
5 kilometres to go. Last little part of the Hedlighumstraat now for Wout van Aert is 15 seconds, and look what it means to them. They see who's at the front. They are winning him on, and Wout van Aert riding at the front of the race on his way to the Tour of Flanders, trying to take one of these victories that's eluded him so far. He was second last year despite having 3 in the group for his team. He's got 15 seconds here, and behind they try and chase him.
No more Ghana on the front. He has sat up. They continue from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Gianni Vermeers. Mats Pedersen coming through in second wheel. Big turn from him. He goes up the freeway bridge. Can't shake him out of his wheel.
5 kilometres to hold on for Wout van Aert. Over 30 remained when he was at the front of the race at the Eckenberg. He's alone for the moment, has been for the last few Ks, and there's a group chasing him at just 14 seconds. It's going to be close.
Well, Hagen is doing everything he can just to sort of break the rhythm. He's not really blocking anyone, but just get up there, make it further to go around for anyone trying to chase his teammate.
Another few hundred metres ticked by. It's close to 4 Ks to go now for Van Aert. 13 seconds is his gap. Remember, in Flemish cobbled racing, he's already won the Omloop and Kuurne. He's taken Gent-Wevelgem or in Flanders Fields, the E3 Prijs on a couple of occasions. He's never won Dwars door Vlaanderen. And of course, the big one he wants is the Tour of Flanders. There's a chance to cross another off the lift. Ganna will go again. 4 kilometres to go now, 15 seconds.
Well, he's holding steady at the moment. It's 15 and it's 16 and it's 14, back to 15 again. And Van Aert, oh, this is just everything he's got. And, well, this would get rid of a big monkey on his back and give him a whole heap of confidence going into the Ronde.
Remember, no cobbled Belgian win for almost or just over 2 years. No win at this time of the cobbled year for Wout van Aert in 3 years. Florian Vermeers is the rider who goes. Ganna's trying to get on his wheels. Stan de Wolf is the decathlon rider at the bottom of your screen. Just seeing the wheel and the gap open up. And the gap between those chasing and Wout van Aert as we get just over 3 Ks to the finish goes to single figures now. A left turn here. It's 3.1 kilometres to go. Under that arch, he's about to go. He's on the outskirts of Waregem now, but his gap is fading rather quickly. 8 seconds.
Well, in a straight line, he's barely a kilometre from the finish line, but he's got to pass around behind it on the ring road, do a big lap around the block before coming back to face the finish line. And Ganna and Vermeers, well, they're just off the front of the peloton, but they're bearing down on Wout van Aert.
And it looks from the picture here that NSM might have just started riding as well, because Biniam remembers in the group too. All sorts of possibilities still in the mix with 2.5 kilometres to go. Van Aert at the top of the picture in the yellow jersey. 8 seconds separate him from the 2 riders chasing in the bottom of your picture. Wout van Aert is being chased by Filippo Ganna and Florian Vermeers. Now they can see him.
They've got him in their sights. Ganna and Vermeers will look over the shoulder from Ganna, seeing the peloton coming, led by NSN for Biniam Girmay. The gap's still handy for Wout van Aert. Another kilometre ticks by, 2.1. The more corners, the better. This left-hander, then it's a short straight, another left-hander to bring him under the kilometre. It is going to be so, so close for Van Aert.
Those 2 kilometres to the finish, 6 seconds. And the 2 chasers are now being hunted down too by the rest. Biniam has put his team to work, but that looks like it's about to fade away as well. All sorts going on here. They're back past the racecourse. 5 seconds. Agonisingly away from that finish line as the crow flies again before turning back towards it. Wout van Aert's still there, but it's a handful of seconds.
It's got so much about the ride of Van der Poel and E3 about it, hanging just in front. Will he, won't he? They've got him as good as caught, but he's still hanging in there. 5 seconds. He'll see the red kite just up ahead. He needs them just to pause, just a second behind him.
Another right turn here. The red kite is just in front of him. 5 seconds for Wout van Aert, who went with a devastating acceleration on the Eckenberg and now goes into the final kilometre in another thrilling finish to a Flemish semi-classic. It's Wednesday afternoon before Flanders. It is Dwars door Vlaanderen, and Filippo Ganna is the only rider who's across there trying to get there. And he's getting closer, but behind they get close to him as well. 700 metres to go. There's still a turn, a right turn to go onto the finale and into that big finish. And Wout van Aert, who last year had to settle for second, is being reeled in bit by bit. The metres are ticking by. The turn is about approaching, and here we go. One final right turn to go, 400 metres. It's Wout van Aert in the yellow, who's failed to win this in the past, but they've got him behind, and he's got to launch the sprint now. Philippe Ganna's getting in behind as well. There's a huge group as well. 300 metres to the line. It's Wout van Aert at the front. What a finish here. And look at Philippe Ganna. Look at Philippe Ganna. He comes into the slipstream. Oh, it's heartbreak for Wout van Aert. Heartbreak for Wout van Aert. Delight for Philippe Ganna. And his own greatest classic success is confirmed. What an incredible finish on a Wednesday afternoon. In a race ridden at 48.5 kilometers per hour, Philippe Ganna treats it as one big time trial. And from start to finish, he has timed the catch to perfection. Belgian hearts are broken. 7 years without a win now. Turns to 8. But Philippe Ganna breaks Wout van Aert's heart. It's Ganna who wins. And for so long, we knew he could do it in the classics. And Robbie McEwen, he has done it in the classics. Philippe Ganna wins Dwars Vlaanderen. It's the 15th victory of the season for an Ineos Grenadiers squad that is reborn, rejuvenated, and ready to play for the big prizes. But so much of the talk post-race will be about how yet again, on that finishing straight, Wout van Aert was beaten.
That was absolutely brutal. It was brutal to watch. Wout van Aert didn't lose it. Philippe Ganna didn't steal it. Philippe Ganna won that race. He had his own problems. Bike changes, punctures, broken handlebars. Made his way back, led the chase, broke away from the rest. Big turn on the final cobbles. We all wanted Van Aert to get there. We all wanted Van Aert to win. But you cannot begrudge it one little tiny bit to Philippe Ganna. That was like watching him bring home the team pursuit squad on the track like he's done so many times. He just seems to get faster and faster and faster. And he gobbled up poor Wout van Aert. But at the same time, Van Aert was absolutely brilliant. What a race.
That was Ganna. That was great. For the first time in his career, Philippe Ganna wins a Flemish semi-classic. It's taken it all out of Biniam too. But Ganna's off to the podium. Wout van Aert finishes second in the end. For the second year running. You can hear the effort that it's taken out of him there.
Well, he would have been gulping the oxygen in, gulping air through that last 2K, Philippe Ganna.
Well, how many times have we said it? This guy can do it in the classics. So many near misses. Will it be Sanremo, Roubaix? Well, in the end, after 38 wins, the 39th, for the first time in his career, Robbie McEwen, is a one-day race win. He pulled it off. He caught Van Aert right on the death. And this is how he did it.
Oh, you saw it out of that last corner, the acceleration out of the saddle. And Wout van Aert had been giving everything for the last 45 kilometres of this race and caught in sight of the line. I think Biniam, either third, maybe fourth. The rider there from Uno X Mobility, maybe just poking his wheel across in front to take the final spot on the podium. Agony for Van Aert. Devastating to get caught that close to the line of such a brilliant ride. But Ganna, what an absolute beast.
Well, that would not surprise me either if that's the fastest edition of Dwars Vlaanderen in history. We're waiting for confirmation on that. It's the first ever one-day win for him. And what a way to do it. Van Aert's heart broken. Ganna with the problems and the bike changes. and on the cobbles. He can do it. He has done it. From Ganna, that is grande.
Straks is er ook de aankomst van de wedstrijd tegen Brabant. Aankomst die we verwachten op de klok van 6:30. En eerst afgeleiding om de vijfde
And he could even enjoy the celebration.
plaatsvindt een 200-tal meter voorbij de
The
finish.
second year running, it's second place for Van Aert.
And looks like third for Søren Waalenschild. And we'll see it here on the photo finish. Van Aert head down once again. Girmay and Waalenschild, it is who gets third. So Biniam just missing the podium. Wow.
What have we just watched? Filippo Ganna winning a one-day race for the first time in his career is the answer. I'll tell you what, it's the way he won.